Level okay? Oops,
Yeah.
we're live. Cool.
So if Superman worked at a convenience store, you know what we would call him?
Man, I wish I knew.
Clark Kent.
You know, that's the Superman movie that Kevin Smith should have actually directed.
Exactly. Clark
Clerks
Kent.
Kent. I love
Clark
it.
Kent, man of convenience.
Yes.
Man of convenience. That's a
I
good one.
love it. Welcome to Sunday night's greatest DC comic show on YouTube, Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. It's so great to have you here today. I'm Ryan Magic Lasso. Of course, Signature King Tony Fett is joining us. Hello.
Hola, people.
Awesome. Tim the Comic Collector, not here.
Oh,
Comic
Tim.
2014, not here. Unexcused absences.
We'll miss you guys.
Yes, it only takes one man to replace those two. And it's the man we brought in when I point this way.
That sounds like a lot of expectations.
I'm so excited to
You're
welcome.
setting the bar a little too high for me replacing two people.
Well, on this show,
But-
the bar isn't really that high anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither is the bar on my channel, so I know you guys. Yeah.
I'm so excited to get the chance to welcome to Fanboys Live in the Retro Review, Cavil, Comic Books NYC. Great to have you here.
What's up, Ryan? Tony, good to see you both. I think it's been a minute since we've been on the same, we've been on the same things before on this YouTube sphere, but it's probably been a while because I have not been too active as of late, just due to life. So
sure, I understand. That's why I was really happy when you said yes that you were coming on.
I was all about it, especially because you were like leaving it up to me what to read. Like
exactly.
I had to rack my brain a little bit because at first I was like, I know these guys are mainly into DC, but I wasn't aware that it was like the rule is it has to be DC. So that was that, I was like, oh, okay, there's a specific area of my shelf I can now, target, if you will.
Yep.
So, and I had not read this in like 20 years.
So, I haven't read this in a long time either. So
in a long time.
When we get to the retro review portion, did it live up to it? I guess that's the question we'll be answering tonight. But Cavil, for those that I don't know how they wouldn't be familiar with you because your channel has done so well. Tell people about your channel and about your collecting and about you, just in a nutshell.
Yeah. I as you can see, my channel handle is at Comic Books NYC across all the social platforms, YouTube, Instagram. What are the other ones? YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. If you're on those, I'm also on there occasionally, but not very often. Mainly YouTube and Instagram. Mainly even just Instagram these days, and a little bit on YouTube every once in a while. But I mainly I share the stuff I am both collecting and in some ways reading, enjoying. I like doing a lot of these kind of collaborations with people where we're actually reading comics and talking about reading the comics that we all read together, that kind of thing. But primarily the reason why you would probably subscribe to my channel is the original comic art content, because that's something that I offer that probably not as many comic book YouTube collectors offer that content on their channel.
I would agree. That's pretty exclusive.
Probably one of the originals to do it, or one of the early channels to do it.
I don't think anyone else does it, and to the extent that you do, I think it's pretty much just you.
The ones that do it more than I do, or to the extent or more than I do, are actual comic art channels, as opposed to comic book channels that also have the comic art stuff going on. So yeah, if you're into that side of it, I have a library of old episodes and shows that you can enjoy with people and their collections of art, and a lot of cool stuff. So
that's awesome. There's a link to Comic Book NYC's YouTube channel in the description for this video. If you haven't subbed them up, you really are missing out, and I hope that you will do that. Also, and I want to thank you. I've been a guest on the original Art Hour before,
too.
Right.
You are an original Art Hour alumni.
I am. Yeah. So I was so excited to actually...
With some amazing Wonder Woman art on that episode. Everyone should go check that out. It's really cool.
Thanks.
Oh yeah,
That was a lot of fun.
I remember
So,
seeing that. That's a good one.
yeah. So we'll say hi to some folks that are in the chat with us right there. We got Yeehaw with us. He's yeehawing. So, Michael, it's great to see you here. Appreciate it. Warlord is here hanging out.
Warlord.
Look at who has shown up. Has my channel hit the big time now? I got Perry Gaming in here. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to get off my lazy ass and launch my gaming channel. Like I've been talking to Perry about games a lot, just there on Instagram. We're both big gamers, retro gamers, and I just now figured out the technology and like actually how to do it. But now I need to actually like try doing it, which is like easier said than done because like I like playing video games, but to then also host a engaging and interactive and intelligent show or stream while you play the video game, like and play it well, like Perry does. That's difficult. That's
an art in itself. Yeah, absolutely.
So
we'll say hi to Super Russ 9000. Good to see you, my friend. Warlord saying how much he loves
thanks, dude.
Your art collection, and he's been a big fan for quite some time, as I have been myself. So.
Well, I see Warlord like in every chat.
Yeah,
yeah,
he
YouTube,
is.
So
he is. He's in
kudos
almost
to
all
you.
of them.
And what's up, Russ? Super Russ 9000.
Yeah.
Well.
Good to see you guys here. We appreciate you spending some of your Sunday night with us. And we'll acknowledge more of the chat as they join us. If you're watching on the rewind, we certainly appreciate you wanting to take time to check out what we have here. Perry is saying, locking in the intelligent part, but other than that, it's cake. All right.
You're selling yourself short, Perry. You're very intelligent.
Yeah. So, Tony, there seems to be a lot of news going on DC comic wise this week.
Yeah, comic book wise, for the first time in a long time, we've had pretty decent comic book news. It's been interesting. The last 24 hours have been interesting. So, for those of you who aren't in the know, how do I put this? DC Rebirth gave us Wonder Woman 1 through I forget, and then they picked up the legacy numbering,
right,
continuing where that left off. And I forget the number it picked up on. I want to say 800 or 750.
So like after the Jenny Frison run of covers, sometime after that, right?
Yeah. Wonder Woman went 1 through 83. Incidentally, notice they did not do an issue 84, and they had a movie called 84.
Right.
And then it went to issue 750.
750, yes. Okay.
750, that's right, yeah.
So you could call that maybe the Rebirth run, I guess. Well, that's coming to an end. And it sounds like they're going to pick up a new Wonder Woman. I'm not sure where the story is going to take place. Probably in the what they're calling the Dawn of DC relaunch. I don't know if it's going to be a flat reboot or a relaunch or what. I mean, we'll have to see. But Wonder Woman is getting some new talent, and along with some other characters too. But talking about Wonder Woman, we have Tom King on the writing, Daniel Semperi on the art, along with possibly Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad will be continuing their run on Wonder Woman. Not quite clear on that. But
they actually wrap up on issue 800 as their final.
Oh, as a final? Okay.
And Tom King starts on 800 as well. It's an exercise issue.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what
are they gonna are they just gonna continue the numbering from there, or
no, it'll be one.
No,
yeah.
It'll be one. Of course, of course.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman 1. Yeah, it's frustrating, but sometimes it's like when you go to the next
it's necessary.
School.
It's necessary every once in a while.
Wipe it clean, start fresh. Because there's some things that they tried the last year or two that were just hot garbage, in my opinion. Some of those things, it doesn't sound like they're coming back, so maybe that's good. But Hawk Girl,
I myself overall enjoyed the Conrad Clooney run. I thought it was fresh. It was modern, but it still had little nods and throwbacks to the past, and that's what I liked.
Yeah, I'm talking about DC as a whole, not necessarily Wonder Woman. Yeah, DC as a whole had some hot garbage in it. Not Wonder Woman. There's a lot of things in DC.
I didn't read that run that Ryan was just referring to. Like, I stopped reading when the Jenny Prison covers kind of went away. But I mean, because I was just really into collecting it for the covers more so than reading that run, I guess. But but Tom King being on the book is semi exciting for me, I would say, because I'm not going to say I thought his Batman run was the best Batman run, but I liked it more than most, I think. And then the majority of the rest of the stuff that he's ever done, I've enjoyed. So I fall more on the Tom King supporter than hater side of comic reading toxicity. So not that it should be toxic at all, but it for some reason with that writer, it became so at the one point.
He definitely draws attention.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And Flash is getting a new creative team too.
I heard that. That's the one piece of news I heard, that the existing writer is stepping off after what, 800 or 850 or something.
Something like that.
Something like that. He seems, and I am not speaking on behalf of anyone, but both the Wonder Woman teams and the Flash teams, my impression is they both feel a little bit heartbroken to be done with and didn't feel like they accomplished everything that they wanted to do.
Well, keep in mind that James Gunn and Peter Safran said that at some point the comics will be in line with the movies.
Right, and they're already adapting Tom King's Supergirl run into literally a movie.
So maybe this is it. Maybe this is the start, I mean, who knows? But
there's more Wonder Woman news, but first I'll say hello to Kenneth Bird. Oh, he just jumped on me. Hello to Kenneth Bird. Thanks for stopping by. So, since we're talking Wonder Woman, James Gunn was tweeted. Someone said, I'm paraphrasing here, but they basically said, isn't it about time that Wonder Woman got her own animated series? And he tweeted back and said, it's in the works.
Yeah, I saw something like that. I mean, he tweets a lot of stuff also, though. I mean,
that's true.
I think he means what he tweets, and he's very genuine with his engagement and interaction with fans. But at the same time, also fans need to realize that there's like about 50 things always in development all the time. It doesn't matter who's in charge of the studio or Warner Brothers. Like, there's always a lot of stuff in the works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some of his updates both cause potentially speculation that is like feels like it's far more urgent than it actually is, kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just from a speculation analysis standpoint, but that is pretty cool. I mean, I would like to see it. I would consume the content right away.
Well, just to add on to what you said, you're right. I mean, it's whenever he tweets something, it's a little bit speculative, but keep in mind, like, he is in 100% control of DC creativity now. He's not just a one-off director like he was at Marvel with his own tiny little sphere of influence with Guardians. Like,
sure, but Kevin Feige has said a lot of things that have not happened.
You're right.
So, and it's the same, it's the same role.
Yeah, I would take more to heart that I would think DC is just letting the line go, just letting him, because they don't really have.
I think so too, and it's exciting because, like, I like seeing like weirder things get adapted and then connect to the bigger things, therefore elevating their importance in pop culture, right? Like, he's already done that a few times. So I'd like to see that continue for DC for once, which is
with Guardians of the Galaxy. How many people didn't even know they even existed?
Right, exactly.
Until he made them
the Authority,
Yeah. Creature Commandos. Like, I knew about the Creature Commandos, but like they weren't even on nobody's radar.
They're not on the normies' radars until that announcement.
So the Creature Commandos, those are the creatures that don't wear underwear, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And it's funny, speaking of Creature Commandos, someone had made a tweet that said, Henry Cavill was coming back as Frankenstein in Creature Commandos. James Gunn said
he denied it immediately, saying
he denied it immediately. Yeah, and he said we already have Frankenstein. They got their first choice. So casting wise, let the speculation begin. But I guess they have their guy ready to go. He's loaded in the barrel and they're ready to pull the trigger. So
who
knows? I'm excited. I love.
Has there been a comic book writer or artist leadership change for the Superman books as of late? Because I haven't followed that title lately.
I think so. Yeah.
There has
I'm a
been
little
recently.
behind on that, but I mean, it's just like the rest of the teams. You know,
Didn't
someone will
they
get
just change
a
with
bunch.
Action 1051?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone will get a hold of like 50 issues and they'll change it to the next guy. Then they'll get a big block. Like Wonder Woman, I think there's been like 4 or 5 different writers that have taken the place just over the last couple of years. Who had it first? Was it Greg Rucka and then
Clooney Conrad had it for the last about 3 years, but before then there was a lot of turnover.
Yeah, G. Willow Wilson. I even think Joshua
I
Williamson had a couple of issues. Yeah, so I don't know if that's normal or if that's just they don't like the story. I have no idea, but
probably normal. I mean, when you like lean back and look at like the whole timeline of DC Comics and whatnot, it probably makes sense. It's like 5 to 8 years, is like as long as one continuous storyline really kind of goes,
Yeah, I mean, I miss the days where it was like when you wrote Wonder Woman, like you wrote them all,
right?
And then when you were done,
I mean, that's what's really interesting about this,
right.
because it's like going back in time to DC right after Crisis and being like, well, what would you do if you were put in that situation of essentially starting the DC universe over from scratch? Well, you got to start with Superman, right? And you got to make it a powerhouse series and like a definitive series, and that's what it is.
There has to be some truth into what you say. When you start the DC universe over, you got to do a Superman because James Gunn had the exact same
line of thinking.
Yeah, because the first one out of his new universe is Superman,
right.
which is pretty crazy.
I already forgot the name of it though. What's the name of it?
Superman Legacy.
Okay.
Yeah. So who knows? But one more piece of news that I got: Shazam 2's big cameo is Wonder Woman. I guess she was in it, then she wasn't in it. Now she's in it again. Now some people are saying it's only.
Is that movie out already? Like, is that coming out next week?
Next week.
Friday.
This Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Cavil, if you.
Well, shit, that snuck up. I didn't even realize. Like, I didn't even get tickets to that movie yet. I'm sure I could just walk right into it and see it. Probably, even in NYC. It's not going to do well. So
you don't think so? I would have to agree, given that it's coming. Like it's officially like this.
I'm not knocking it in any way. I'm not saying that to knock on it because I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was pretty charming because I don't have a ton of like reading exposure to like to Captain Marvel, Golden. Like I've collected plenty of Golden Age comics, but even within my Golden Age collecting, that's the Captain Marvel stuff, the Marvel family stuff was not part of my fandom really ever. So I think the first Shazam movie gave me more of that context than a lot of the stuff I had read up until that point, because I was just not that into the character from just a pure comic book perspective. So that helped me get a little bit more into that side of DC, I would say. So I'm looking forward to seeing this new film, but I just don't think it's going to do well at the box office because I don't think a lot of people care to see it.
Well, I think what took a lot of wind out of the sales of the new Shazam movies, like as soon as the Black Adam movie came out and it was at its peak, they're like, "Oh yeah, Rock is done. No Henry Cavill. We're starting a new universe." So everyone was like, "What's the point now?" You know what I mean? Like these movies are coming out, but there's no incentive.
I mean, it's still going to be a good movie, probably on its own and entertaining. Hopefully, I'm saying that with I have no exposure to it besides like the one trailer I saw or something. So in
fact, you're funny you bring up the trailers because I guess she's in the new one.
Oh,
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
There's too many trailers now for everything.
Exactly. They have teaser trailers.
Yeah, there's just too many, man.
I don't watch them anymore because I feel that they give away too much of the movie.
They give away way too much.
I would rather go in as blind as I can be into the movie.
Yeah, I'm with you now a little bit.
I want to say
it's hard to resist like at least the teaser trailer, like the first trailer. But after that, it's like overkill. There's like
I wish they would stop doing that. Stop with teaser trailers. Just give me the first one and be done.
Yeah, give me the first trailer. Like
be done. No second
done.
trailer, just one.
Mhm.
This is it. And what they should do is like, okay, let me set the stage for you. You're like some big, let's say San Diego Comic-Con, okay? And let's say you're in the Marvel side of things or talking about movies, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we have this big blockbuster movie, and the crowd goes wild or whatever. And they're like, you guys want to see a trailer? And they already have a trailer for it. They've already filmed it. And I'm like, holy cow, like, when does this come out? And they're like, next week. Everyone would go absolutely bonkers. Like you imagine if they did that with like Avengers, like, oh yeah, it's already.
I tell you who would go bonkers, and that's the publicity and marketing departments.
No, that
So-
would be so
Well,
cool.
I mean,
if they did that.
I don't know if you guys remember, but when Infinity War came out, it was supposed to come out in May, and then about 6 weeks before it came out, they moved it up by like 2 weeks into late April. Like,
Mhm.
just out of nowhere, like that close to release, like that was considered pretty risky. Obviously, it didn't hurt the box office
Yeah.
of that film at all.
I just want one movie where they do that. Oh yeah, here's the trailer, and by the way, it comes out next week. I'm like, "Wah."
Although, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
recording artists sometimes drop surprise albums at midnight. I mean, that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix has done that with a Super Bowl
Mhm.
ad for that Cloverfield sequel. Remember that? They were like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
watch this Cloverfield sequel right after the game."
Oh
or
yeah,
right
is that the
now."
one with John Goodman in it? 10 Cloverfield
Yeah,
Lane.
maybe. To be honest, the Cloverfield verse.
I love Cloverfield because it's
I,
so
re-
bad.
I know I've seen the first one. I can't like guarantee I've seen anything beyond the first
I
one.
love it because they're not good.
The
That's
first
only
one
reason
was.
love
I
it.
love the first one, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the found footage one where it's like Blair Witch meets
Yeah.
Godzilla. Yeah, that's a good one.
So I want to say hi to a couple people that have popped in to see us, including
guys.
Kyle, the wheelchair superhero. 87 is here. It's good to see you, Kyle.
Yeah.
The sniper who is back. Always good to see you, Nathan. Thank you very much. We have John's Comics with Kids. He was wearing his red running pants yesterday for the Saturday morning show with the girls. And we have Aggressively Relaxing.
Aggressively. What up?
What's up? Good to see you here too.
Is that what you were just talking about, Tony, or is that something else?
I don't know. I don't know what Flash movie news he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
think the Wonder Woman news is we covered that. I think, unless he's talking about something else. So, but I mean, I did a quick search and I didn't get anything Flash related. But then again, I don't always have the latest and greatest. I'm at the mercy of Google.
So one more news item before we wrap up. The Masked Singer had DC Comics Night this past week, including an appearance by Jim Lee.
Oh, really?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so that's available to stream if you have Hulu rather. If you're curious to check that out, the panel dressed up as different DC characters. Robin Thicke was Robin. So Robin was Robin.
Yeah.
It was fun. Hey, Nigel's here too. Desired Comics. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for
Hey.
stopping by. But they all kind of sang like superhero themed songs, stuff like that. It was a fun. I won't reveal who got unmasked that night, but it's definitely a superstar of music.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah.
That's an
As we
interesting
segue into the
integration.
as we segue into our retro review, Kavi, tell us why you picked what you picked tonight.
Well, I read a lot of Batman very frequently. You know, Batman's my top dog DC. What I read, collect, you know, books, art. I do the whole Gotham City Chronicles show with JP where we've read like 30 different Batman books already on that show and cover Batman all the time. So I was like, and you guys were putting me in that DC corner, right? Like for choosing something to read. I'm like, you know what? I need to go totally the opposite direction and get back into the Clark Kent, Metropolis, Smallville side of DC. And it had been so long. Like, I don't think I've really read this entire run in its entirety for the one thing, right? So I wanted to maybe do that, right? But I had to start at the beginning of it because you just have to start sequentially with this run, in my opinion. And I had bought this volume 1 hardcover back in 2020 when it dropped. I don't have the slipcover on it, but it's a pretty nice volume 1 hardcover. It comes with, collects the 6-issue mini. Then it starts with the Superman #1 run. Then it goes into several issues of his Action Comics run, and maybe even one other title as part, you know, because I think this was spread across 4 titles at one point. perhaps, because then there was even a Man of Steel ongoing, right, at some
Mhm.
point later.
Yeah.
And I don't know if volume 2 of this hardcover series ever came out since then. I'm gonna have to look into that. But I wanted to just start over on this, essentially this reboot of the DC universe back in 1991 that John Byrne basically kicked off with his presentation of the definitive origin of Superman in 32 pages. I mean, in my opinion, it is the definitive one issue single origin story of Clark Kent slash Superman that anybody that has zero knowledge of Superman can just be given that one issue. And they pretty much have the details of what they need to know moving forward about that character. I know people are exposed to Superman in so many different ways, from the George Reeves 50 was that 50s TV show, right? Was it
Yep.
50s?
Mhm.
To, obviously early Golden Age comics, Siegel and Schuster, all that stuff, Bronze Age, Silver Age stuff. It's all really, really fun. But I think up until this point, this is the most, I guess, relatable version of Clark Kent slash Superman that was presented up until this point. You know what I mean? And I think when you think about the origin of Clark Kent and think about the origin of Superman in today's understanding of it, it's pretty much defined right here in Superman Man of Steel, issue number 1, in those first 32 pages, which is split up. I think it's like split up into 4 chapters. Like it's a prologue, a chapter 1, a chapter 2, and an epilogue issue. It tells the origin of it tells the Krypton story, the end of Krypton, Jor-El and Lara. You essentially learn about why Krypton is about to explode, and Jor-El's master plan to save his son, send him to Earth with a yellow sun, and all that. Everything that you sort of think, you assume you already know about Superman if you've already read a lot of Superman or been exposed to a lot of Superman pop culture media content. It's solidified here in this 132 issue, and and it just continues from there, obviously, with the introduction of Lois Lane towards the end of this
Sure.
issue. And then the issue number 2 is pretty much all Lois for the most part, and the beginnings of that back and forth. And then you've got the introduction of Batman in this new DC reboot in the 3rd issue. So it's really like kicking off the whole DC universe post-crisis in one mini, and I think it's one of the best of all time. So
Okay. Well, Tony,
yeah.
if you're going to pop up the assist for me, I'm going to say hi first to Black Swamp Comics, who's popped in. Good to see you, my friend. Would love to have you back on the show again, too. If you want
He's
to
gonna
pop
be
that up.
my next guest on Original Art Hour, by the way. Black Swamp
Oh, that's
Comics
awesome.
on the 21st of March.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. And Tony, I don't know if you've sent it or not. I'm not using what I normally use tonight.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it's up there. I mean, I'll.
is it okay? I'm trying to
Yeah.
see it from my side. I don't see it on my side. So
What is it, like a?
it's usually a share
something?
the screen, but I don't actually see that.
Yeah, I think the phone has its limitations.
Oh, right. Is this something you can email someone to
I
share
got
on
it.
our screen or something? Or
I got it.
Okay.
Maybe that'll work. Nothing? Okay.
No, I don't have anything on my side.
One more trick here I learned. I want to do this. I want to do this. Window. There, did I pop up now?
No. Are you able to share it maybe, Tony, on one of your cameras or?
I could probably. You know what? I'm not running my XSplit tonight of all nights, so I don't have any screens other than the one I'm on.
what are we trying to look at? Like the actual artwork and stuff? Like
Yeah.
We
Just
usually go through the pages as you're talking about the story.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can switch.
Well, I guess
No,
I mean
that's
before we even get to the pages, I guess there were 2 covers. That's the
there were
first,
2 covers. Yeah.
that's
The
A
very
cover,
first time
right?
that ever happened in a comic
Right.
book.
So
Yeah.
that's the special collector's edition, which
Yeah.
I actually prefer because it's like just that up and close image of the S on the chest. I think it's simple yet bold at the same time, and it's just the obvious image.
Mhm.
Second cover is cool too, though, because you get the exploding Krypton. That's second cover, right? So you get the exploding Krypton. and you still get the the S on the chest maneuver or whatever, but not so up close.
Yeah. Why don't
That's
you start
okay.
talking about the issue if you don't mind showing up?
Yeah,
when
no
you
problem.
mention something, maybe-
It kicks off with this really cool splash page. Basically, John Byrne, both wrote it and penciled it. And who was the anchor? Dick Giordano.
Yep.
Yeah, so Giordano was the inker. So this is a exterior shot of Krypton, and then the next 8 pages basically dive into the backstory of Jor-El explaining to Lara what's going on with the planet, what his master plan is to get Kal-El to Earth via the pod. Lara freaks out a little bit because she thinks humanity is a little bit more savage and not as sophisticated as Kryptonian civilization, and that Kal-El won't fit in. But then Jor-El kind of clarifies to her that he'll basically be a god. Yeah, some amazing artwork here because of the different sun. And then it just, it quickly escalates as Krypton explodes and Kal-El is on his way. And so that's the 8-issue prologue, and then you instantly get into chapter 1. That, I believe, that's the first sort of representation of John Byrne's Clark Kent character design, but he's covered up by the Smallville football gear in this splash. But a pretty cool splash that evokes, of course, Smallville and high school times for Clark Kent. You are introduced to Lana, you meet Jonathan Kent, and there you really get a first close-up sort of look at John Byrne's character design for Clark and Clark's face. I think he does a great job presenting this, all-American farm boy, but he does not yet know about his alien origins at this point. Basically, he's playing football too well for his own good, that Jonathan Kent is getting a little worried that it's finally, time to fill in Clark about his origins and how he came to live with the Kents. So you go through that whole backstory with Jonathan Martha Kent finding Clark in the ship, in the pod, and you kind of go through a little bit of a childhood Clark and him not getting hurt when he should have gotten hurt, and sort of Jonathan Kent learning about his son's powers as time goes on. You even see Clark learning, discovering that he can fly here, so that he has the power of flight.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Just one day, oh yeah, I can fly.
I know, right? And then by the end of the first chapter, he's grown up to the point where he feels like he has to leave home and sort of discover how he can help humanity, beyond just being a Smallville teenager playing football and all that, and kind of grow up a little bit. Cut to chapter 2, you're back with the Kents. Some time has passed, and of course, Martha Kent has been collecting all of her son's sort of anonymous heroic duties right here in the paper. Very proud mother. Then you cut back to Metropolis, and Clark is in a save the day scenario with a plane colliding with another plane mid-air, a military plane of some kind over Metropolis. So he's got to quickly get into gear. He's got no costume at this point, so he's just dressed up as a man. I freaking love this panel right here. I don't know if you can, because later on, like two pages later, you get a half splash that evokes back to that panel. I don't know. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
I love that. When he's kind of just surrounded by a sea of humanity and Lois. So you're also introduced to Lois for his Lois character design for the first time during this sequence where he's saving the day. She's upside down, which is funny, I think, when she's first introduced. And of course, she's saved. She notices that it's a man that's saving the day, traps him, or tries to get, she's a journalist, so she's just instantly trying to investigate him from the jump. And basically, Clark goes back home and he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've been outed essentially. How can I separate my private life from my personal life? And then that's how Jonathan Kent suggests the idea of being the Superman that Lois sort of nicknamed him in the press. He gets the S and the cape and the cowl. Well, not the cowl, the cape. And the suit, and then he also gets his alternate identity of Clark Kent by putting on the glasses and slicking his hair back differently. Yeah, incredible Superman artwork from John Byrne. Just
Absolutely.
one of the best definitive depictions. And then by the final page, of course, he's now officially Superman. And it's time to get into the Lois Lane issue from there. So yeah, it's a 32-page romp that takes you through the things that you would expect to be taken through for a Superman origin story, and doing it extremely well by introducing all the major characters and the designs for those characters brilliantly. So yeah, one of my favorite Superman issues ever.
Yeah. Let's say, there we go. Let's say hello to some folks that have joined us here in the chat. It wouldn't be a Superman show without Glenn Clark here. Seeking Superman has joined us. Good to see you, my friend. Bronze Age Brian is here with us too. And have some more people just appreciating some of the art too. And apparently I'm guessing a lot, Glenn. I am guessing a lot. So, okay, Tony, I'm gonna make that big and I'll hit the review for issue number 2. So we're starting out.
Was that a decent review? I have no idea.
That was a great review.
Okay.
Bravo.
That's a great review. So starting on issue number 2, here we have Lois Lane, and she sees him flying by, and she's shocked. And Perry's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "It's him." And you're like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "How many people are flying?" And he's like, "Go get the story. No matter what it takes, go get the story." Of course, that's what Lois Lane does. So as she's heading out trying to follow him, she gets stopped. There's a chauffeur driver that wants her to talk to his boss. That happens to be Mr. L. Think about it, Lex Luthor. She doesn't have time for him. Lois is on the story. But that detour from him stopping her for just this minute, she's lost the trail of Superman. Of course, that's frustrating, but she has an idea. 10 minutes later, she's in the sky in a helicopter. And I think it's one of Luthor's helicopters, actually.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and she's flying through, and she's trying to find, this man flying in the air. No luck. Of course, the pilot points out, he could be in between the buildings where we would never see him, too. Where is Superman then? We cut to a lady that's got her ghetto blaster going when she gets mugged. Well, that looks like a job for Superman. And that's where he shows up. He stops the individual and he gets the purse back to the lady that he snatched it from. What I thought was kind of funny, though, in that panel that you're looking at right there, where Superman's flying down with him with the guy who stole in his arms, the victim, she seems to be kind of over it by now. I would think if you just got your purse robbed from you, that you would be a little
already in her, like grooving over there.
Yeah, exactly. And she kind of seemed over it. Superman, hands it back. He realizes that there's another distress from overhearing what she has playing on her radio, which she's playing a little bit too loud. And he kind of lets her know that, when you live in a big city like this, consideration is the only thing that keeps life bearable. And then he says bye. And he takes off to help out. So here we have a hostage situation going on. And the cops are there. They think that maybe their reputation can stop this guy from taking over, but it doesn't. It's a job for Superman. They don't know who Superman is. And Superman asks permission. He says, "Hey, let me have a try." And they're kind of like, "Who do you think you are? Come on back." And Superman starts walking towards this fellow. And he's like, "Look, you can see I'm not armed. You don't think I'm wearing any or hiding any weapons in this outfit, do you?" And he tells him to hold it. Superman literally walks right up, takes the gun, and just crushes the tip of it. So, and people are shocked by what they see. Well, that lets the rest of his gang start hailing bullets at him. What happens when you start hitting bullets at Superman? They ricochet off of him. He uses his heat vision. He turns the gun so hot that they can't hold on to him anymore. And they uses some of his softest taps to put them in dreamland for about an hour. And Superman goes up to the one lady who started all of the firing on him, and she's like, "You wouldn't hit a lady, would you?" And, he says, "A lady? No, I'd never hit a lady," and then kind of thunks her. But he says, "But then I've never met a lady who carries dynamite under her coat." So he wanted to make sure that she was, before he disarmed her, essentially, that was removed from her body. So Lois Lane is flying around. She's looking for Superman. She always seems to get there right after he's left. He just left seconds ago. And that theme, I love that panel. Look at that bottom panel there, that look on her face, And then for the next couple of days, that's the same story. Lois Lane gets there right as he leaves. Now, you got to imagine how frustrating that is for someone like Lois. So on the next page there, we have Jimmy Olsen, and he's, stopping to talk to Lois in the office. He comments that she looks miserable. She talks about how she spent the better part of a week chasing this mystery man all over Metropolis, and she just has sore feet, and how the other papers have taken the name that she gave him, Superman, and started using that too. And Jimmy says, "Well, you have to find a way to be on the spot before he gets there." And she's like, "Well, I'm not clairvoyant. How am I going to do that?" And then you see Lois Lane has an idea. So we cut to Superman. He's flying around, and all of a sudden he hears some screams for help using the X-ray vision. He sees that a woman is drowning. It's not just any woman. He recognizes her. It's Lois Lane. So he flies down to go get Miss Lane, and we got some great shots here on the next page of him diving into the river and fishing her car out and retrieving it. He gets her out.
Action Comics throwback.
Yes, very much. And he gets her out. He says, she needs some dry clothes. So he's like, "I'll escort you home." So he drops her off home, and he wants to take off. And she pretty much demands, "Come back here." And I love that panel where he's like, "Yes."
She's so expressive. His Lois is so great.
Yep. So she thanks him for taking a minute while she cleaned herself up. She comes out in a robe with her, a towel in her hair, and he's very much the polite gentleman. And she wants to know who he is. She wants to get that exclusive interview. She's Lois Lane. And he says, "I don't think knowing all of this will be much use to you." And he makes that reference a couple of times, and that will play out before the issue's over with. So she starts to ask him, "Well, what is your name?" And he's like, "Well, I think the name you gave me is quite appropriate, Miss Lane." And she's like, "Superman? All right, Superman, it is." And she says, "Can I get you to call me Lois?" Because he's been calling her Miss Lane. And he's like, "Of course, I'd be delighted to." So they're having this conversation. She's getting a little bit of information, not a lot. He keeps telling her, "I don't know, this information really isn't going to be of any use to you. It doesn't matter." She asks if he's from out of town, and he says, "What matters is that he thinks and feels as an American." And he gets up to leave, and he essentially says to her, "Oh, just out of curiosity, do you always drive around with an aqua lung under the front seat of your car?" And she knew she was busted right there. And I think she kind of likes it too. I mean, they got this little bit of this flirtation going on here, and she likes it.
I mean, that top panel, alone, if you were a spy photographer from a distance, is pretty scandalous. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So Superman's flying around. He's kind of thinking of quite a woman, Lois Lane is too. And she's some reporter too. He flies over to the Daily Planet, and he realizes that he has an appointment to keep, one that he set up a couple of days ago, but it's not Superman that Perry White's going to be meeting. It's going to be an appointment with Clark Kent. So 2 hours later, Lois Lane is barged into the Daily Planet. She's got her story written. She tells Perry to stop the process. She's got it. Perry doesn't seem too excited about it. And finally she says, "What is why aren't you excited about this? What is going on?" He's like, "We already have the story." And she's kind of like, "What do you mean you have the story already?" And Perry says, "Relax, Lois. You were beaten to it. That happens to the best reporters. It used to happen to me all the time. And you might as well take a good look at the fellow who got the Superman story ahead of you. He joined the Planet staff as of today. Lois Lane, meet Clark Kent." And that's the wrap up to issue number 2.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Tony, you want to take away issue number 3?
Yep. It's a little blurry on this end. Okay, yeah, this is the introduction of Batman. Like you were saying. So this is
Look at that
pretty cool.
flowing cape. Right there.
Yeah, right.
Look at that.
And this is, I got to admit, one of the greatest, and I use that term, very
Loosely?
loosely for Magpie.
Yeah.
One of the lamest villains ever.
Definitely agree on that.
Is anything in this run a key? I think this one is technically because it's the first appearance of Magpie.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I think I don't know if the rest of them are. I don't recall. But okay, so
I don't think there's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not as far as first appearances. As far as like storytelling, yeah, like for Superman, obviously it's key, right? Like it's important to that era of DC, but it's not a first appearance per se. The previous issue
or first happening of something. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah, starting things off here. Batman appearing in the Superman comic. So this is, like you said, post-crisis. This would have been the first introduction of Batman. Post-crisis, and he's caught up to some.
So no Batman book came out before Man of Steel 3, where Batman was introduced, right? So this is technically his introduction.
Yeah, this is the introduction of Batman. So he caught up to a thug, and I like how they just no context. He's just beating the snot out of this guy.
I absolutely love 9-panel page sequences like this.
Yeah.
From an art standpoint,
that's awesome.
They're amazing, and John Byrne's like a master at those.
He is. These are really good. I like these. But then here we have the next page. You said that was a 9-panel. Here's a 1-panel right here. So you're wasting my time. Bull, you know how much I hate having my time wasted. So from first glance, these two have a little bit of a history together, and as we read on, we come to find out that it is definitely not their first run-in. And he's like, "Listen, don't beat me up again. I can't. I hate it when you do that." He's like, "Listen, just tell me what I want to know. 8 people have died already. I'm not going to tolerate any more deaths. No talk. Where does she plan to strike next?" And typical fashion, instead of sand in the eyes, he just grabs a fistful of garbage and throws it in Batman's face. You're already on Batman's no list, and then you throw garbage in his face. You just went straight to the top of that list.
You know what I call it when Batman's doing what he's doing in those top panels, in the not this page but the previous page, where he's just basically forcefully throwing a bad guy up against the wall. It's bat-timidation. That's what I call it.
Intimidation. I like it.
I like that too.
And I like how he has, like, in this first panel here, he's got garbage in his face, and he just says "remarkable." Like, if someone threw garbage in my face, and I could think of one word that'd be saying, but it wouldn't be remarkable. So he does his bat thing. He's starting to glide across the city. He's starting to, it's a little batarang hook thing, and then he realizes that something isn't right here. He's kind of going down fast, and it turns out that Superman had caught him, and he's like, "Listen, hey Batman, we need to talk. We've got a problem here."
How sick is the building art though? Like in
that
panel,
is insane. Yeah, this is crazy.
Byrne has always been good at that kind of stuff.
And I like this panel right here when Superman's talking about Batman. He's just like, "Listen, he's just a dude, but how does he like disappear? It's got like he can't turn invisible. He doesn't have super speed. Like, what is it?" And Batman chimes in from the background. "Invisibility is relative." There's Superman. He finally, "Oh my God, she's behind me." But yeah, they start talking about like this. People are dying in Gotham or whatever. Batman's trying to get to the bottom of it. And here is it looks like Clark Kent was trying to like hit him with an X-ray vision. I couldn't quite figure out what he was doing here. Even the panel, it doesn't give you a whole lot of context.
I feel like it's some sort of vague way of saying that he's like figured out the chemical code to like block Superman.
Yeah,
some
because it
way.
says
I
you've
don't know.
done your homework,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say what
It
Superman's
doesn't
trying to
specifically
do.
say kryptonite or anything like
Yeah,
that.
or
But yeah.
steel or lead or whatever. Like because back then Superman can't see through lead.
Right.
So maybe he's got a lead line suit. I don't know. But anyway, it's pretty cool. A simple force field Superman, invisible, intangible, just like the force fields used at the airport metal detectors, and keeps you from prying eyes. So they're talking about here. Okay, so back down to business here. Let's talk about this issue we got going on here. Where's Magpie going to strike next? Well, we don't know who's Magpie. Where is this going to happen next?
I mean, another incredible
Look at that.
rooftop.
This could be a poster.
Yeah, I freaking love that panel.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
This could totally be a poster. Look at that. Like, you're the original art guy. Where the heck is this panel at? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in my collection. I can tell you that. I've wanted a John Byrne Superman page more than any other title that he's worked on in my, as far as my collection. Like, I know a lot of people pine after his X-Men work, but I don't even.
Look at this. Why would you not want
that stuff's so expensive that I don't even sniff it.
That was my next question. What does something like this usually run?
I mean, I would have to circle back with you. I haven't looked at the auctions lately, and if any examples have come up recently. Several $1,000s though, probably $10K. That's my guess.
Oof.
Because when people get stuff like this, they don't want to give it up.
Yeah, especially something like that with that where that one panel is better than some entire splash pages, and it's it's very subjective,
There's a lot of I mean, not to knock modern art, but look at how old this book is compared to now, and all the technology artists have at their disposal. But you get this beautiful piece right here. And here we are marveling about it, but when is the last time we've done that on a modern book? I mean, I can't remember. Just goes to show it ain't what it used to be. Cutting back to it, this gentleman's locking up his watch shop. I'm assuming it's a watch shop because his Timex right there. But anyway, there's an explosion. It looks like the gentleman takes something to the face, and here comes Batman. And it turns out he's just leading him to Magpie, the dumbest name and hairdo for a villain I could possibly think of. So he runs back to Magpie headquarters, and that's where you start to see the full kit and caboodle for Magpie. And she brought up a good point here where she's yelling at him why would you just come back here? He's following you, right? So he knows exactly where you are. He's Batman. And you just led him right to our little hangout. So her response is to shove a cartoon-esque stick of dynamite in his mouth and light it. When I saw that, I chuckled. I couldn't help but think of Looney Tunes or something.
Exactly.
That's
so this is issue 3, right? Just a quick. Let me just quickly chime in. A page from this issue, page 13. So that was probably.
Right here.
This page
right here. Yep.
Sold for $18,000 on Heritage about a year ago in 2022.
Goodness. Just this page, not a panel for the page.
Just that page of the original art. I can even share my screen if need be and show the original art. I have it up here. But
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let me do that.
I don't think we can do that until we get done with your review, Tony.
Okay, I'll share it when you're done.
Yeah, sure. So they head over to the Gotham Museum of Antiques, but it's like Batman says, it's been defunct for years. But if you look at it, it looks like it's in a major part of downtown, across from a big park. I don't know how that's gonna be, but whatever. It turns out that is Magpie's headquarters. She was right all along. Batman and Superman were following him. Superman kind of busts in. Right here, as in Superman, Bird Girl, I thought that was pretty funny. They're just calling her Bird Girl. But in typical Superman fashion, bad guys just unload all their guns on him several dozen times, not thinking hey, I just shot him 5 times, maybe the 6th time it'll work, but whatever. They catch the right guy here. Magpie's hey, check this out. I got this cool gas grenade, but this one was my favorite part right here, where Superman sucks up all the gas, flies into space, and just kind of exhales it into the
passes gas in space.
He passes gas in space. And so as he's coming back down to Earth, he spots Superman getting into a vehicle. Turns out it's a Batmobile. And of course, Batman's got all kinds of gizmos and whatnot in his trunk. Of course, he's got a microscope. There was something right here I wanted to bring up, a piece of where is it? I forget what he's called, but he's looking at a strand of something.
So it's like a thread of something.
Yeah,
right?
thread. Yeah, a thread of something.
A mummy or something like that.
Yeah, but when they don't know it's a mummy, they just said, "Oh, it's 5,000 years old." This little piece of thread. So of course they think mummy, and then they get into the Robert Pattinson Batmobile.
The muscle car, car version.
And I noticed the panel up here. It's licensed. It's got a license plate.
Oh yeah.
So. This ain't a fancy Batmobile.
So like, don't you know you could just get a phone for that now?
Right.
All that'll fit in a phone, man.
Yeah.
So they zip over to the museum, and sure enough, Superman and Batman beat them to it. They pop out, and Superman, I like this part, just rips off her hair. And that was pretty funny. Turns out that they know who she is. She used to be an employee there because they checked the employment records. And she's looking for, I forget where did it say she was looking for? I shouldn't have forgotten it, but that's who I am. Yeah, she was a doctor of something, but she was the nation's leading expert on ancient Egypt and mummies, and
she was basically the head of that museum, right? Like the curator, like the top.
Yeah, she was a curator, but like how she got that job, she was the nation's
she had like legit credentials.
Yeah. Egyptologist, that's what it was. She was the nation's leading Egyptologist. But yeah, mission over. They're on the rooftop, doing the whole thing. A good call.
Post game.
Close game. They were right to the end.
Post game analysis.
Yeah, post game analysis. I like it. Doing the rebound. But Batman pulls out a bomb out of his belt and says, "Hey, that bomb I told you about? It's right here in my belt, and I feel like I can trust you with it." Superman doesn't quite get it, but hey, he's like, "Okay, I'll take it." And Batman kind of watches him fly away, thinking, hey, he's a remarkable man, all things considered. Who knows? In a different reality, I might have called him my friend. And that's the end of issue 3.
I think that's my biggest gripe with that issue is why not in this reality? Like,
yeah,
he's like, who knows? In another reality, like,
yeah.
Anyway.
I'll say hello to the art chemist.
Hey,
I'm going to put you full screen so you can show off that original art that you found, okay?
Oh, sorry. Let me do the share screen thing.
Right now,
yeah, I didn't find it in my room here.
Okay.
But
all right, sorry.
That would be awesome if I found it in my room.
I know. For those that are watching, I'm on my phone tonight instead of what I'm usually streaming
on. All right,
on,
so I shared the screen, so you have to add the.
It doesn't show on my phone.
Yeah, he can't see it. He can't see it.
So how do I do it? Is there no way to do it?
No, not without a third-party app like I use.
Got it. All right, well, don't worry about it.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it. I imagine those things go for crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, if you just go to Heritage and search Man of Steel, John Byrne, and then change it from current to past or whatever, the last sale of a piece at where the public auction record is available is from that issue, and it was that 13th page. So a year ago, it sold for $18,000 in April.
So let's dialogue for a few moments about these first 3 issues that we read. First of all, one thing I want to say, if I don't say this now, I'm going to forget to say this. As we mentioned earlier, this is the first comic book to ever have a variant cover. I did a cover by themed episode of this, and I put the link in the description for this video too, if you want to check that out in the archives of my channel. So did any of you, when I read this, I heard Christopher Reeve's voice when Superman was talking. Did any of you?
Yeah.
I mean, I often hear his voice when I picture. I just do, just because, like, for me as a kid, I saw that film probably before I saw anything else. Like, because that was what, late 70s release, right? Or late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, into
So
the
that
80s.
was like the biggest thing going when I was a kid in the 80s, you know,
Yeah.
discovering whatever. So I can't remember for sure that that's the case, that I didn't see some random George Reeves Superman thing somewhere before. I can't guarantee it, but the most impactful thing from my childhood was the Christopher Reeve Superman by far.
For sure. So on a scale copy of 1 to 5, with 5 being you can't get any better than this, on these first 3 issues, what grade would you give them?
Well, I give issue number 1 a 5. You know what I mean? I give issue number 2 probably like a 4, 5, and I give issue number 3 probably a 3.5 to 4. It's probably the weakest in my opinion of the 3 issues, even though Batman's in it, and that always gets me interested. That always gets me interested somewhat. The weak villain / plot of that issue, aside from the engaging interaction between Superman and Batman, isn't as impressive to me as how incredible the origin story is done in issue number 1, and how entertaining Lois is as a character in issue 2, right? So I would average it out, these 3 issues, to be like a 4 or 5 or something like that, pretty high. Art a 5, storytelling a 5, like character designs a 5. Like there was very little for me to say is a 4, that would bring it down a notch, except for maybe just a little bit of clunkiness in the dialogue and the weak villain in that 3rd issue. But really, I mean, it's very hard for me to complain about this in any way. So
sure. Tony, what about you on a 1 to 5 scale?
I agree. It doesn't get much better than this, the old school comic. So this is pretty high up there. I think overall I'm going to get a 4 out of 5. Maybe
that's strong.
Yeah,
it's strong grade.
But I just love the old school stuff. Not that some of the new stuff is god awful, but I like the type of paper. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
I didn't have the. I mean, I have this book, but I didn't have it out following along. I could smell the pages. That old page smell. Like, I love that. You know what I mean?
They used older paper stock in this hardcover.
Oh, did they?
Okay.
They used that like 80s-ish, late 80s to early 90s-ish DC kind of paper in this 2020 hardcover, I noticed. So it doesn't have that slick omnibus paper, that real slickiness to it, which I think fits for like the time period that this book was coming out.
Yeah.
I want to say hi to Barbarian who stopped by. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But everything from the pages to the art to just holding it, you know what I mean? Like, this is a great book. I read it once or twice, so it's good to walk down memory lane with this one. So 4 out of 5 easy. Yeah.
Awesome. I myself, I'm pretty much in pretty close sync to what Kavi said. I think issue 1 is a 5. I think issue 2, for me, issue 2 was a 5. I love that. I think he just got Lois Lane.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm being harsh by giving it a 4 or 5. I feel like I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. 3 is the weakest of the 3 issues, but even that is still pretty darn good. To me, it's like chocolate. Even some of the worst chocolate I ate was still pretty darn good.
Right. It's hard to just pause in the middle of this mini also without just like, I'll just keep going,
Yeah. I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. And for the 3 issues that we reviewed, it's got a 5, just period for me.
That's pretty rare for you.
I'm happy with the story.
Yeah.
So a 5, 4, 5, and a 4. That's like a pretty high average.
Yeah, that is. So
yeah. Just goes to show they don't make them like anymore.
Story?
No, that's a great story.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Kavi, we're going to do our book show portion right now. Cool. Tell us what you have going on your channel. And then if you have anything that you want to share as a book show portion, we'll do that.
Well, I mean, as far as what I have going on upcoming on my channel, I've got the next episode of Original Art Hour on the 21st of March, 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to be over on the Comic Books NYC channel. My guest was in the chat earlier. Black Swamp Comics used to be called Jaguar.
Mhm.
I can't pronounce the last name of what he used to be
Chicago,
called.
maybe?
Chicago.
Something.
But now Black Swamp Comics, much easier to pronounce. But looking forward to having him on. He's going to be sharing about like something like 20 to 25 pieces of art from his
That's great.
collection. So that's going to be great. And he's going to join the art show crew and everything. So that'll be fun. Besides that, I'm racking my brain. I may have other sporadic / random content. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to figure out how to stream games and stuff like that from Twitch and YouTube, which takes forever to figure out. But I think I finally figured out all the technology. So maybe I'll hop on live and play like a Batman game or something like that. We'll see.
Okay, cool.
Something fun like that. But yeah, that's basically all I got going on my channel. I brought like a mix of things to show. I don't know if you want me to get right into that right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, the first thing is a hat that I'm bringing on because I'm going to give it to you, Ryan.
Oh, wow.
Because I mean, look, you're the biggest Wonder Woman fan I know, so I've obviously blessed you with Wonder Woman related AOKs in the past. But this is more of a casual one. You don't have to worry about me spending hundreds of dollars on this. It's just a cool hat with a cool color and a cool bill and a cool Diana on the bottom of the bill. Brand new. Never worn.
Love it. I want you to see the smile on my face.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send that your way. Maybe I'll throw some other things in there. But brought that to show. As far as books, I only brought a couple books. These are Golden Age books that I plan on submitting in my next batch. So a couple Batman books and a couple Wonder Woman books. This is Batman issue number 82. So these are all Golden Age DC Comics books in my personal collection. So it's been a while since I did a personal collection submission to CGC. I've been submitting a lot of stuff that I've then been flipping, like if I'm being perfectly upfront, to fund my art collecting habit and stuff like that. But these are books from my personal collection that I want to get graded, and so I've been putting it off, but I'm going to send them in home soon, hopefully. This is a Batman issue number 35. Here's a big banner Detective Comics Golden Age Joker cover, Detective Comics 102.
Wow.
Pretty awesome. So this is the second copy I've ever owned of this. I AOK'd my other one to JoJo a couple years ago, Flicks and Comics. But yeah, this is a nicer copy than that one. So when I got this one, I paid it forward and gave my old one away, which I've been known to do that like an idiot sometimes, but here you go. Detective Comics number 84, another big banner Golden Age book. And then I'm going to wrap up the book share part with two Wonder Woman books because Ryan, this is Magic Lasso. Yeah. So Sensation Comics 74, Golden Age Sensation Comics. And then a lower Golden Age Wonder Woman title with a very red cover on this, Wonder Woman issue number 30.
I love it.
Beautiful, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
so these books are all going to be going to CGC relatively soon, and hopefully back and graded and part of my collection. The last thing I brought was real quickly just my DC art portfolio with my non-Batman art. So I had, most of my DC art is Batman and Swamp Thing, and those have their own portfolios. But this DC folder has like some Superman, some Wonder Woman. So this is a Superman show. So I wanted to bring at least one Superman piece. And this is a Superman cover by Ryan Sook. Off the top of my head, I forget which issue. Is it labeled? Yeah. All right. Issue 22. So this is on one of the newer runs. But that's the cover to Superman 22 by Ryan Sook. Here's some Justice JLA artwork.
Oh, wow.
There's some Superboy artwork by Jim Mooney. Here's some Wonder Woman artwork, Cliff Chang.
Beautiful.
Clip Chang on Clip Chang on the left, and then that's who's this again? Oh yeah, this is Joshua Middleton on the right with Wonder Woman and Joker, a vampire Joker. Right there. That was from the Convergence Wonder Woman series. Yep. This one's from Wonder Woman Annual #1 by Kurt Swan. So you have like a origin retold right there, and you see Diana carrying Steve Trevor right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a splash page from the George Perez run. One of the issues he wrote but did not actually do the splash page. I probably couldn't afford it if it was a Perez splash page, but this is a Chris Marinan splash page, but George Perez did write the issue.
Nice.
Yeah, as a badass splash. So yeah.
That is.
All right. Well, I'm just hitting my microphone at this point, but yeah, let's just end it with the Superman and the Wonder Woman stuff because that's most appropriate to this channel and this show, this episode.
Yeah, Tony, what do you have going on in your channel and a book show?
Oh man, lots of shorts coming out for days. Because
I should probably do more of those, huh? Those are good.
They do well, but for some reason on the weekends I struggle. I don't know what it is. During the week, Monday through Friday, I'll hit 1,000 views in like an hour. But then as soon as Saturday, Sunday come, I'll hit like maybe 100.
Is it just because there's more competition for like people watching it or something, or like
I don't know. I have no clue, but whatever. Yeah, I'll take Monday through Friday. No problem at all. But I agree, it wouldn't be a Superman show without showing some Superman signatures, right? So the most recent one that I acquired from Philip Kennedy Johnson and Brandon Peterson, the Superman World Apocalypse. You can see their golden ink right there. So I just love how the gold ink kind of matches the kind of cover a little bit in some spots. So that was pretty cool. I got lucky to have them both there. I did add last year Jose Luis Garcia Lopez to this cover.
Nice.
Superman blank. And for those of you who don't know, this is a all blank comic. Every page in here is blank. So
I have a Garcia Lopez World's Finest page with Superman and Batman on it, but that's in my Batman folder, which I didn't bring tonight.
That's okay. I'm gonna fill this with signatures and sketches and whatnot. So that's fun. And I also did add Jose Luis Garcia Lopez to the ever-growing signature on this book. It is getting absolutely crowded.
Damn.
So we've got some greats on here. Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Neil Adams, Dave Gibbons, Joe Rubenstein, Walt Simonson, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Bernie Wrightson, Klaus Johnson, Jim Starlin, Joe Stanton, and Howard Chaykin. And every time I'm thinking to myself, I'm done with this book. I'm sick of dragging it everywhere and getting signatures on it. Another one will pop up at a convention and it'll be on the list. And it's just like, okay, one more. So that's always fun. So, the Heroes Against Hunger. And I priced this book out just to see if I can get all the signatures verified, like through CBCS. This book will set you back $300.
Wow!
Just to verify the signatures. That's insane. And they say add a week per signature
because it's per signature.
Yeah. Last but not least, the Superman Gallery. If you guys have seen this before, I think I've shown it once or twice on the channel here, but it's just a book about different Superman covers, various Superman art, and I've got signatures in here too of people who have done the art. Like here's a Brett Breeding up here.
It's a book of pinups, essentially.
Yeah.
The gallery book.
Yeah, like behind me, how they do the poster portfolios now. This is back then. This is what they did. Here's another Jerry Ordway, but this one's like a big 2-pager fighting the Nazis. There was one in here. I got a show here that was pretty cool. If I could find it, maybe not, but but if you see this book in the dollar bin, for sure, but it's worth it. Oh yeah, of course it's on the back. One of my favorites in the book, this cool Jim Steranko.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that one. But yeah, that's those are some cool Superman signatures. So yeah,
Sweet.
that's all I got on my channel, man.
Awesome. Well, on my channel, since we're talking Superman, I'm doing all this month for my back issue of the week shorts, saluting Women's History Month, and Lois Lane was featured this past week. Last time I checked, it was about 30 views away from hitting 1K. So I would love for that to happen. If you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, I certainly would appreciate anyone doing that so that can hit 1K. If that does hit 1K, that would be 3 consecutive weeks of the back issue of the week short hitting 1K. And that would be awesome. So I dropped a comic book editions video on my channel this past Tuesday, showed some back issues that I added into my collection. The comic book editions video that I'm dropping this upcoming Tuesday is another in my series of Spectacular Spider Hauls. So it's all books from Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, Bronze Age books. So, and these are books from 1980 and 1981 that I'll be sharing in this Tuesday's video. So I'm excited for that. For my book show, we talked about the John Byrne Superman, and when this 6-issue miniseries wrapped up, John Byrne wasn't done with Superman because he would go on to take care of Superman and some other titles, including the relaunch, Superman issue number 1, volume number 2, and that's volume number 2, issue number 1 is what I decided to show for my book show. Written and cover and interior by John Byrne. That is Metallo, so definitely a different look to Metallo than what we're used to seeing. And I thought that would be a good book show tonight to tie into the theme that we did.
That book is a key too. I can't remember why, but it's a considered a $5 key.
I forget why too.
I don't recall. Oh, it's the first the person who is Metallo. It's the first time.
Okay, first appearance of him. Okay.
No, not first appearance of Metallo, but whoever that.
No. The second Metallo, right?
First appearance of the second Metallo. I think you're right.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Comic Books NYC. The link to his YouTube channel is in the description for this video. If you could sub him up, that would be awesome. If you haven't subbed him up, you are missing out on some awesome content. Cavil, I'm so happy to have you on the show. And I'm so
Thanks for having me, dude.
You've really re-sparked my interest in this series. And I mean, we've got to do the last 3 issues sometime as a retro review, I think. So not to put you on the spot, but
I mean, I'm going to read it well before that happens, but sure.
I would love to have you back to do that or to review anything else that you want. I just appreciate you coming on the show tonight and spending some time with us.
No, man, it was fun. Thanks for the invite. And,
Yeah.
Hit me up whenever the next availability matches, and I'm around here probably doing nothing most Sundays, but not every Sunday. But
Okay. Cool. Well, next week we have another special guest joining us. It's Kachun.
Oh, sweet.
And, he's going to be here.
I was just on a show the other night with him about Something's Killing the Children over on
nice.
JP's channel. Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
I was on the audience for that one.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. So we're looking forward to his choice for the retro review and all the other DC Comics news. This has been the greatest DC.
He's a big Dr. Fate guy, so I'm guessing he's going to lean that direction. But...
I'm going to tell you something. It isn't.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious.
It is not Dr. Fate. So
not
I'm trying to get the chance
to love it.
Yeah. So I'll be anxious to because the books that he picked, I haven't read any of them ever. So I'm going to be anxious to check that out. If you've watched on the rewind all the way to the end, we certainly do appreciate you as well. This has been the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube, Fanboys Live.
That's Tony Fett, by the way. I saw a question about who is Aristocrats of Autographs.
Signature King. It's in the description somewhere down here, I'm sure.
Yes, there is a link to Tony, and even the fanboys that didn't show up tonight, I even linked them because I'm that nice of a person. Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. We'll catch you next week. Have a fantastic, safe week.
Peace
Bye.
out.